What's up, my beautiful humans? My name is B, and welcome back to my channel. So, as you guys can see, I'm going to be doing a read-along. And for those who don't know what a read-along is I'm going to pick a book. Well, I already chose the book, but you basically pick a book and you read a couple of the chapters and stuff like that. But I'm not only going to be just reading the book. I'm also going to be sharing with you guys my favorite Halloween movies. Well, horror movies. So yeah, let's get into it. First and foremost, I want to introduce you to somebody, okay? Don't pick on me. Don't pick at me. Because, you know, what I'm about to show y'all or introduce to y'all is someone that, you know, watches me write, watches me go crazy with, you know, with my writing ideas and doing all that crazy stuff and reading. Don't think I'm crazy or anything, but I want to introduce you to Winnie. Say hi to Winnie, y'all. Say hi. Winnie, say hi to the YouTubers, to the beautiful YouTubers. I'm not crazy, but isn't she so cute? Walmart. She comes with a cup too. A nice cup, a nice mug cup. But yeah, her name is Winnie the Witch, and she is going to be reading along with us. So, the book that I chose was Carrie. Okay? The reason I chose Carrie is because first of all, it's a classic. Okay? And second of all, like, come on. Like, as a young child, seeing that movie, you know, a shy girl like me, getting blood dumped all over her on her prom night, like, come on, like, and then doing all that stuff to them people, I mean, blows my mind. Just imagine if that was even real. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I am going to be reading Carrie by Stephen King, and I'm just gonna put Winnie over here because I didn't get a chair for her, and I don't want her to put her around. So, Winnie, okay, stay right there and watch me like you always do. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to not read from the beginning. Obviously, I know a lot of people done seen the movie. Probably a lot of people read the book as well. So I'm just gonna skip to prom night, where all the action is, you know, where all the action takes place. But before I start reading, okay, I'll just breeze through it for the people that never seen Carrie, which if you never did, Hulu, okay? Hulu, I think, has, I don't know if they have the original one, but there's 3 versions of Carrie. You got the one in 1962 or something like that. It's in the 19s, okay? And then you got one, the second one is in 2003, and then the third one I think is in 2016 or 13. One of those. I'm not sure. I'm not really good with dates. You can always look it up though. But Hulu does have the second version, which is my favorite. The first, you know, the original was the original, of course, is good, but I really like the second version. I don't know, maybe because it was just a little bit more, I don't want to say modern because, I don't know, it was just more, I feel like it was more better. It was better than the first one. So yeah, let's talk about before the prom night, okay? So Carrie is a high schooler. I think she's a senior. Carrie is a high schooler girl. She's a Christian. Her mom is like really into God, like over the top God. Like, you know, I believe in God. I believe in God. I believe in God. But this lady, she takes the cake. Like, she is like, you know, the poor girl didn't even know what her period was. I think she was 16 and she never got her period or anything. She was a really late bloomer. And she didn't know what her period was. And that was in the beginning, you know. She got her period while she was in the shower. The girls, you know, you got the mean girls. Typical, always cliche. In basically every movie. In high school, you have the mean girls, then you have the jocks, then you have the goths, and you know, the nerds and stuff like that. Carrie was like all the way down there. All right, she was below the nerds, below the science, you know, and all that. Which, you know, it like, I feel like a lot of people should read it and watch it, especially nowadays, for the simple fact, bullying is the worst thing ever. I got bullied when I was in high school. Well, I was in elementary school because I was a chubby little girl. And kids are just cruel, okay? That's number one. And yeah, I feel like y'all should watch it, read the book. It does revolve around a lot of bullying. Like, this girl, she didn't mess with nobody. She was quiet. She didn't have, you know, clothes, name brand clothes and things like that. And she got bullied for it. And a lot of people thought that she was weird and all this and that. And they just picked on her. And the girls got in trouble. They were throwing tampons at her, stuff like that. And they got in trouble. And one girl out of, you know, the mean girl clique, she felt sorry and she ended up going to the prom. So she had her boyfriend ask Carrie to take her to the prom, which was, I thought was just like, oh, like that was really nice of her. That was really nice of her. And then one of the other mean girls, like the head HBIC, she was just like extra jealous, very jealous and just pissed off and mad because she was really jealous, very mad because she couldn't go to the prom. She was supposed to be doing something in gym. The gym teacher, you know, if you guys don't do this, you can't go to the prom. And the girl was just like, no, I ain't doing it. So she could not go to the prom. So for her revenge for not going to the prom, she's blaming Carrie. They decided to cut a pig up, drain its blood, put it in a bucket, put it on top. They put it on the stage, up on the thingy thing. I don't know what that's called. But it's on the stage, okay? And you know where the lights and stuff are at? They put it up there, and they rigged the valet for the prom queen, so it could be Carrie to go up there. So she goes up there thinking, oh, these people really care and all this and that. And yeah, it just went downhill from there. So yeah, I'm sorry, that was a big spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert. Yeah, so if I'm definitely gonna put that in the description. I'm gonna put spoiler alert. If you have not watched or read the book, yeah, don't watch this at all. So yeah, let's read this up. Let's get into Carrie. Now, the way, I think this was Stephen King's very first novel that he came up with. Well, I know he had more books and stuff that he already wrote, but I think he published this book first. I'm not sure. I should do my research before I did this. But how he format of his writing in this book is different than his other books. So bear with me. So we're going to read part 2, Prom Nights. Are you ready, Winnie? So let's get into reading, shall we? And we're reading Carrie by Stephen King. Part 2, Prom Night. She put the dress on for the first time on the morning of May 27 in her room. She had brought a special brassiere to go with it, which gave her breasts the proper uplift. Not that they actually needed it, but left their top halves uncovered. Wearing it gave her a weird, dreamy feeling that was half shame and half excitement. The dress itself was nearly floor length. The skirt was loose, but the waist was snug. The material rich and unfamiliar against her skin, which was used to only cotton and wool. The hang of it seemed to be right, or would be, with the new shoes. She slipped them on, adjusted the neckline, and went to the window. She could see only mad and ghost image of herself, but everything seemed to be right. Maybe later she could. The door swung open behind her with only a soft snick of the latch, and Carrie turned to look at her mother. She was dressed for work, wearing her white sweater and holding her black pocketbook in one hand. In the other, she was holding Daddy Ralph's Bible. They looked at each other. I'm sorry, guys. Like, the light is like in my eyes. I keep looking up and I'm looking down and it's like white dots and stuff. So bear with me. Carrie felt her back straighten until she stood straight in the patch of early spring sunshine that fell through the window. Red, Mama murmured. I might have known it would be red. Carrie said nothing. I could see your dirty pillows. Everyone will. They'll be looking at your body. The book says, those are breasts, Mama. Every woman has them. Take off that dress, Mama said. No. Take it off, Carrie. We'll go down and burn it in the incinerator together, and then pray for forgiveness. We'll do penance. Her eyes began to sparkle with the strange, disconnected zeal that came over her at events which she considered to be tests of faith. I'll stay home from work, and you'll stay home from school. We'll pray. We'll ask for a sign. We'll get us down on our knees and ask for the fire. No, Mama. Her mother reached up and pinched her own face. It left a red mark. She looked at Carrie. She looked to Carrie for reaction. Saw none. Hooked her right hand in two claws and ripped it across her own cheek, bringing then blood. She whined and rocked back on her heels. Her eyes glowed. Stop hurting yourself, Mama. That's not gonna make me stop either. Mama screamed. She made her right hand a fist and struck herself in the mouth, bringing blood. She dabbed her fingers in it, looked at it dreamily, and dabbed the spot on the cover of the Bible. Washed in the blood of the Lamb, she whispered. Many times he and I. Go away, Mama. She looked up at Carrie, her eyes glowing. There was a terrifying expression of righteous anger graven on her face. The Lord is not mocked, she whispered. Be sure your sin will find you out. Burn it, Carrie. Cast the devil's red from you and burn it. Burn it, burn it, burn it. The door slammed open by itself. "Go away, Mama." Mama smiled. Her bloody mouth made the smile twisted. As Jezebel fell from the tower, "Let it be with you," she said. And the dogs came and licked up the blood. "It's in the Bible. It's..." Her feet began to slip along the floor and she looked down at them, bewildered. The wood might have turned to ice. "Stop that!" she screamed. She was in the hall now. She caught the door jammed and held on for a moment. Then her fingers were torn loose, seemingly by nothing. "I love you, Mama," Carrie said steadily. "I'm sorry." The door swinging shut, and the door did just that, as if moved by a light breeze. Carefully, so as not to hurt her,
Snapped the metal hands she had pushed her mother with. A moment later, Margaret was pounding on the door. Carrie held it shut, her lips trembling. "There's going to be a judgment," Margaret rapped. "I washed my hands of it. I tried."
her mother went away. A minute later, Carrie saw her go down the walk and cross the street on her way to work. "Mama," she said softly and put her forehead on the glass. Before turning to a more detailed analysis of prom night itself, it might be well to sum up what we know of Carrie White, the person.
We know that Carrie was the victim of her mother's religious mania. We know that she possessed a relative telekinesis talent, commonly referred to as TK. We know that this so-called wild talent is really a hereditary trait, produced by a gene that is usually recessive, if present at all. We suspect that the TK ability may be in nature. We know that Carrie produced at least one demonstration of her ability as a small girl when she was put into an extreme situation of guilt and stress. We know that a second extreme situation of guilt and stress arose from a shower room hazing incident. It has been theorized, especially by William G. Thornberry, that the TK ability at this point was caused by both psychological factors, Carrie herself to their first menstrual period, and psychological factors. And finally, we know that on prom night, a third stress situation arose, causing a terrible event, which we now must begin to discuss. We will begin with.
Now, pause. So, like I said, this book is totally different from his other books. That was like, you know how we have commercials. That was probably like a little commercial for the book. Just like I described it in the beginning before I started reading. That's what it just did. Just like was telling what Carrie has or anything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna stop here and let's go to my number one all-time favorite Halloween movie. Well, what I like to watch on Halloween. Hocus Pocus was my original book that I was gonna read. I had just got it like 2 weeks ago and I did not finish it, and I didn't want to like start reading it and I didn't already read it yet. So yeah, but so far it is good. I'm reading like 5 books at a time right now and I have to stop. It's very good. I recommend this book, even though it's for kids, you know, whatever. I'm a big kid at heart. Don't judge me. So yeah, that's the first one that I choose because I love. It is a classic. It brings back my childhood memories and I just love it. Yeah, it's not scary. It's not scary or anything, but we'll get to those movies right after I read this page.
So, I am not nervous, not a bit nervous. Tommy had called earlier with her corsage, and now she was pinning it to the shoulder of her gown herself. There was no Mama, of course, to do it for her and make sure it was in the right place. Mama had locked herself in the chapel and had been in there for the last 2 hours, praying historically. Her voice rose and fell in frightening circles. "I'm sorry, Mama, but I can't be sorry." When she had it fixed to her satisfaction, she dropped her hands and stood quietly for a moment with her eyes closed. There was no full-length mirror in the house. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. But she thought she was all right. She had to be. She opened her eyes again. The Black Forest cuckoo clock, bought with green stamps, said 7:10. He'll be here in 20 minutes. Would he? Maybe it was all just an elaborate joke. The final crusher, the ultimate punchline. To leave her sitting here half the night in her crushed velvet prom gown with its princess waistline, Juliet sleeves, and simple straight skirt, and her tea rose pinned to her left shoulder. From the other room, on the rise now, in hallowed earth, we know thou brings the eye that watcheth, the hideous three-lobed eye, and the sound of black trumpets. We must heartily repent. Carrie did not think anyone could understand the courage it had taken to recoil herself to this, to leave herself open to whatever fearsome possibilities the night might realize. Being stood up could hardly be the worst of them. In fact, in a kind of sneaky, wishful way, she thought it might be for the best. No, stop that. Of course it would be easier to stay here with Mama. Safer. She knew what they thought of Mama. Well, maybe Mama was a fanatic, a freak, but at least she was predictable. The house was predictable. She never came home to laughing, shrieking girls who threw things. And if he didn't come, if she drew back and gave up, high school would be over in a month. Then what? A creeping assistant in the house, supported by Mama, watching game shows and soap operas all day on television at Miss Grayson's house when she had Carrie in to visit. Mrs. Grayson was 86. Walking down to the center to get a malted after supper at the Kelly Fruit when it was deserted. Getting fatter, losing hope, losing even the power to think. No, oh dear God, please no. Please let it be a happy ending. Protect us from he with the split foot, who waits in the alley and in the parking lot of road houses. Oh Savior, 7:25. Restlessly, without thinking, she began to lift objects with her mind and put them back down. The way a nervous woman awaiting someone in a restaurant will fold and unfold her napkins. She could dangle half a dozen objects in the air at one time, and not a sign of tiredness or headache. She kept waiting for the power to adapt, but it remained at high water with no sign of morning. The other night, on her way home from school, she had rode a parked car. Oh, please God, let it not be a joke. 20 feet down the Main Street curb with no strain at all. The courthouse had stared at it as if their eyes would pop out. And of course she stared too, but she was smiling inside. The cuckoo popped out of the clock and spoke once. 7:30. She had grown a little wary of the terrific strain using the power seemed to put on her heart and lungs. She suspected it would be all too possible for her heart to literally burst with the strain. It was like being in another body and forcing her to run and run and run. You would not pay the cost yourself, the other body would. She was beginning to realize that her power was perhaps not so different from the powers of Indian fakers, who stroll across hot coils, run needles into their eyes, or bury themselves for periods up to 6 weeks. Mind over matter in any form is a terrific drain on the body's resources. 7:32. So now, at this point, she is staring at the clock. All these things are running through her head. She's thinking that he's not going to come, this is a joke. Now her, she's getting really anxious and, she's lifting everything up. She has the couches up, she has tables up, the chairs, everything is floating in the air. Because she's so nervous, she's so afraid that it's all going to be a joke. So, 7:32. He's not coming. Don't think about it. A watch pot doesn't boil. He'll come. No, he won't. He's out laughing at you with his friends, and after a little bit, they'll drive by in one of their fast, noisy cars laughing and hooting and yelling. Miserably, she began lifting the sewing machine up and down, swinging it in the arcs through the air. And protect us also from the rebellious daughters with the willfulness of the wicked one. So, what I just said, and protect us from the rebellious daughters, those little parts that I was just reading, that's the mom, if you guys didn't know. That's the mom in her chapel praying. Okay, I'll read that again. And protect us also from rebellious daughters with the willfulness of the wicked one. Shut up! Carrie screamed suddenly. There was startled silence for a moment, and then the babbling chant began again. 7:33. Not coming. Then I'll wreck the house. The thought came to her naturally and cleanly. First the sewing machine, driven through the living room wall, the couch, through a window, table, chairs, books, and tacks, all flying. The pumping ripped loose and squirting, like ripped free of flesh. The roof itself, if that were within her powers, shingles exploded upward into the night like startled pigeons. Light splashed across the window. Other cars had gone by, making her heart leap a little, but this one was going much more slower. Oh. She ran to the window, unable to restrain herself, and it was him, Tommy, just climbing out of his car. And even under the streetlight, he was handsome and alive, and almost crackling. The R word made her want to giggle. Mama had stopped praying. Right. Wrapped from where it had lain across the back of her chair, and put it around her bare shoulders. She bit her lip, touched her hair, and would have sold her soul for a mirror. The buzzer in the hall made it harsh cry. She made herself wait, controlling the twitch in her hands for the second buzz. Then she went slowly, with swish. She opened the door, and he was there, nearly blinded in white denim jacket and dark dress pants. They looked at each other, and neither said a word. She felt that her heart would break if he uttered so much as the wrong sound, and if he laughed, she would die. She felt actually, physically, her whole miserable life narrow to a point that might be an end of the beginning of a widened beam. Finally, helpless, she said. Do you like me? He said. You're beautiful. She was.
So, let's stop and let's see what my number 2 is. So, my number 2 for my Halloween go-to is Halloween. Number 6, I think it is. No, it's Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and I think that's it after the old ones, because I'm not really into the new ones. Maybe the newer one that just came out, but yeah, those other ones that they redid, nah, didn't like it at all. So yeah, my number 2 is Halloween. I just love to watch Halloween on Halloween. Michael Myers, yeah, scary guy. I used to like when I used to watch it when I was younger, and I used to have to, I don't know why we would do that. We would watch it at night, then we would have to go to bed. And I'll be laying in the bed, and my bed was next to the window, and right outside of the window there was the street light, and I would be looking out the window and I would see him. He wasn't really there, but like I thought I seen him, you know, and I would just, Mom, you know, I'll go run to my mom, please stay in here with me, or let me go in there with you, because he climbed through my window, and then that was that. So, but now it's a little bit better. I still don't watch it at night. I do watch it during the day. Sometimes, like if I'm with somebody, I'll watch it at night, but as far as being by myself, I'm watching it again now. Yeah, no, oh God, what page? Okay, right here. Oh, we gotta let me know. Okay. Alright, so this book has no chapters, okay? You have part 1 and part 2, and that's it. So I'm just gonna read probably a couple more pages. And then, yeah, because if I don't stop somewhere, then we'll be reading this whole thing, and that will be, yeah, no. So, okay, back to the Carrie. Is it time yet? She asked in the darkness. He looked at his watch. No. Through the board floor came the thump of the juke playing She Got to Be a Saint by Ray Price.
Billy's cigarette winked fitfully in the dark, like the eye of an uneasy demon. She watched it introsively. She hadn't let him sleep with her until last Monday, when he had promised that he and his greasy friends would help her pull the string on Carrie White, if she actually dared to go to the prom with Tommy Ross. But they had been here before, and had some pretty hot necking session. What she thought of as Scotch love, and what he would call, and his unfailing ability to pinpoint the dry humps. She had meant to make him wait until he had actually done something. But of course, he But of course he did. He got the blood. But it had all begun to slip out of her hands, and it had made her uneasy. If she had not given in willingly on Monday, he would have taken her by force. Billy had not been her first lover, but he was the first she could not dance and dandle at her whim. Before him, her boys had been clever with clear, pimple-free faces and parents with connections and country club memberships. They drove their own VWs and Dodges and Chargers. I think it's Dodge Chargers. Sorry. They went to Boston College. They wore windbreakers in the fall and muscle shirts with bright stripes in the summer. They smoked marijuana a great deal and talked about the funny things that happened to them when they were wrecked. Then began by treating her with good fellowship. All high school girls, no matter how good looking, were Bush League. And always ended up trotting after her with painting dog-like lust. If they trotted long enough and spent enough in the process, she usually let them go to bed with her. Quite often she lay passively beneath them, not helping or hindering until it was over. Later she achieved her own solitary climax while viewing the incident as a single closed loop of memory. She had met Billy Nolan following a drug bust at a Portland apartment. Four students, including Chris Day for the evening, had been busted for possession. Chris and the other girls were charged with being present there. Her father took care of it with quite efficiency. I can't pronounce it. And he asked her if she knew what would happen to his image and his practice if his daughter was taken up on a drug charge. She told him that she doubted if anything could hurt either one, and he took her car away. Billy offered her a ride home from school one afternoon a week later, and she accepted. He was what the other kids called a white sucker of a machine shop truck. Yet something about him excited her, and now, lying drowsily in this bed, she thought it might have been his car, at least at the start. When the job was finished and she got back in, there were heavy smears of grease across both the sweater and the expensive red skirt she was wearing. If you think, she began as he got behind the wheel. He slid across the seat and kissed her, his hands moving heavily on her, from waist to breast.
His breath was full of tobacco. There was the smell of tobacco and sweat. She broke it at last and stared down at herself, gasping for breath. The sweater was blotted with road grease and dirt now. $27.50 in Jordan Marsh, and it was beyond anything but the garbage can. She was intensely, almost painfully excited. "How are you going to explain that?" he asked, and kissed her again. His mouth felt as if he might be grinning. "Feel me?" she said in his ear. "Feel me all over. Get me dirty." Well, he did. One split like a gaping mouth. Her skirt, short to begin with, was pushed rudely up to her waist. So I'm going to skip that part because I don't know if, I'm just going to skip that part. Okay, 7:45, he said, and sat up in bed. He put on the lamp and began to dress. His body still fascinated her. She thought of last Monday night and how it had been. He had no time enough to think of that later. Maybe when it would do something for her besides cause useless arousal. She swung her own legs over the edge of the bed and slid into her panties. "Maybe it's a bad idea," she said, not sure if she was testing him or herself. Maybe we ought to just get back into bed, and it's a good idea," he said, and a shadow of humor crossed his face. "Pig blood for a pig." "What?" "Nothing. Come on, get dressed." She did, and when they left by the back stairs, she could feel a large excitement blooming, like a rapid and night-flowing vine in her belly. True sorrow is as rare as true love. I'm not sorry that Tommy is dead anymore. He seems too much like a daydream I once had. You probably think that's cruel, but there's been a lot of water under the bridge since prom night, and I'm not sorry for my appearance before the White Commission. I told the truth, as much of it as I knew, but I am sorry for Carrie. Tommy pulled into the parking lot beside the high school new wing, let the motor idle for just a second, and then switched it off. Carrie sat on her side of the seat, holding her wrap around her bare shoulders. It suddenly seemed to her that she was living in a dream of hidden intentions and had just become aware of the fact. What could she be doing? She had left Mama alone. Nervous? He asked, and she jumped. Yes. He smiled and he laughed and got out. She was about to open her door when he opened it for her. Don't be nervous. I want them to know me, she said finally. I don't blame you. Come on. George Dawson and Frida Jason were standing by the Coke machine. Frida was in an orange dress and looked like a tuba. Donna was taking tickets at the door along with David. They were both National Honor Society members, part of Miss Gear's personnel, and they wore white slacks and red blazers in the school the school colors. Tina Blake and Norma Watson were handing out programs and seating people inside according to their chart. Both of them were dressed in black, and Carrie supposed they thought they were very chic, but to her, they looked like cigarette girls in an old gangsta movie. All of them turned to look at Tommy and Carrie when they came in, and for a moment there was a stiff, awkward silence. Carrie felt a strong urge to wet her lips and controlled it. Then George Dawson said, God, you look queer, Ross. Tommy smiled. When did you come out of the treetops, Boomba? Dawson lurched forward with his fist up, and for a moment Carrie felt stark terror in her keyed up state. She came within an ace of picking George up and throwing him across the lobby. Then she realized it was an old game, often played well loved. The two of them sprawled in a growling circle. Then George, who had been tagged twice in the ribs, began to gobble and yell, Kill them Kongs. Get them gooks. Pong G sticks. Tiger cages. And Tommy collapsed his guard laughing. Don't let it bother you, Frida said, tilting her letter opener nose and strolling over. If they kill each other, I'll dance with you. They look too stupid to kill, Carrie ventured, like dinosaurs. And when Frida grinned, she felt something very old and rusty loosen inside of her. A warmth came with it. Relief. Ease. Where do you buy your dress? Frida asked. I love it. I made it. Made it? Frida eyes open in surprise. No. Beep. Carrie felt herself blushing furiously. Yes, I did. I like to sew. I got the materials at John's in Westover. The pattern is really quite easy. Come on, Joyce said to all of them in a general. Band's gonna start. He rolled his eyes and withdrew a limber. Vibes. Scoops loves them big fender. Vibration. When they went in, George was doing impressions of Flash, Bobby Pickett, and Muggin. Carrie was telling Frida about her dress, and Tommy was grinning, hands stuffed in his pockets. Spoiled the lines of his dinner jacket. Sue would be telling him, but F it. It seemed to be working. So far, it was working fine. He and George and Frida had less than 2 hours to live. Now, my third Halloween movie is Halloween Town. Yeah, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to do my not so scary and my ultimate scary. So, Halloween Town 1 and 2 is my favorite. Love the Disney Channel. I was just watching Annie. Halloween Town. Very good movie. That's number 3. Vibes! George yelled suddenly and led Frida out onto the floor. He began to do a sarcastic jitterbug to the old-timey big band music, and someone cat-called over to him. George babbled, leered, and went into a brief arms crossed routine that nearly landed him on his butt. Carrie smiled. George is funny, she said. Sure he is. He's a good guy. There are lots of good people around. Sit down? Yes, she said gratefully. He went back to the door and returned with Norma Watson, whose hair had been pulled into a huge tease explosion for the affair. It's on the other side, she said, and her bright eyes picked Carrie up and down, looking for an exposed strap and eruption of pimples. Any news to carry back to the door when her errand was done. That's a lovely dress, Carrie. P.S. That girl, Norma, mean girl. So she's being sarcastic. That's a lovely dress, Carrie. Where did you ever get it? Carrie told her while Norma led them around the dance floor to their table. There were 2 folding chairs at the table, and the table itself was decked with paper in the school colors. On top was a candle and a wine bottle, a dance program, a tiny glitter pencil, and 2 party favors. I can't get over it, Norma was saying. You look so different. She cast an odd look at Carrie's face, and it made her feel nervous. You're positively glowing. What's your secret? I'm Don McLean's secret lover, said Carrie. Tommy snickered and quickly smothered it. Norma's smile slipped a notch, and Carrie was amazed by her own wit. That's what you looked like when the joke was on you, as though a bee had stung your rear end. Carrie found she liked Norma to look that way. It was unchristian. Well, I have to get back, she said. Isn't it exciting, Tommy? Her smile was sympathetic. Wouldn't it be exciting if cold sweat is running down my thighs in rivers? Tommy said gravelly. Norma left with an odd puzzled smile. It had not gone the way things were supposed to go. Everyone knew how things were supposed to go with Carrie. Tommy snickered again. Would you like to dance? He asked. She didn't know how, but wasn't ready to admit to that yet. Let's just sit down for a minute. While he held out her chair, she saw the candles and asked Tommy if he would light it. He did. Their eyes met over its flame. He reached out and took her hands, and the band played on.
When he asked her the 3rd time, Carrie had to admit that she didn't know how to dance. She didn't add that. Now that the rock band had taken over for a half-hour set, she would feel out of place on the floor. And sinful. Yes, and dance in full. Tommy nodded and smiled. He leaned forward and told her that he hated to dance. Would she like to go around and visit some of the other tables? Yes, that would be nice. He was seeing to her. She must see to him, even if he really did not expect it. That was part of the deal, and she felt dusted over with the enchantment of the evening. She was suddenly hopeful that no one would stick out a foot or shyly pace a kick me hard sign on her back, or suddenly squirt water in her face from a carnation and retreat cackling while everyone laughed and pointed and catcalled. And if they were enchantment, it was not divine, but pagan. Mama untied your apron strings. I'm getting big, and she wanted it that way. Look, he said as they got up. 2 or 3 stage hands were sliding the king and queen thrones from the wings while Mr. Lovey, the head custodian, directed them with the hand motions toward marks on the apron. She thought they looked quite nice. And those thrones, dressed all in blind and white, with real flowers as well as huge banners. They're beautiful, she said. You're beautiful, Tommy said as she became quiet, sure that nothing bad could happen this night. Perhaps they themselves might even be voted king and queen of the prom. She smiled at her own folly. It was 9 o'clock. Carrie, a voice said hesitantly. She had been so wrapped up in watching the band and the dance floor and the other tables that she hadn't seen anyone coming at all. Tommy had gone to get them punch. She turned around and saw Mrs. D.
Okay, so number 4, I think. Yeah, number 4, Child's Play. I am a big fan of Chucky. Yeah, that little annoying looking. Well, he was scary. He was scary when I was little, but now I'm a fan of Charles Lee Ray and Tiffany, of course. Love all the Chuckies, except for the newer ones that they just been making on freaking Netflix. Like, yeah, it's time to give it up. Chucky died. Yeah, Chucky died on The Bride of Chucky. That was my last one that I actually liked. So, yeah. Child's Play, all-time favorite. And I'll say another one. My 5th one, Nightmares on Elm Street. Now, that till this day still freaking scares me because we all dream. And if I was to watch it right now and take my butt to bed, oh God, I'll be up screaming. I do, like, sometimes I do talk in my sleep, or like if I'm having a bad dream, crying, I'll wake up crying, or I'm crying in my sleep and stuff like that. It's really scary. So I advise kids, do not watch anything scary at night before bed. Don't do that at home. She turned around and saw Miss D. For a moment, the two of them merely looked at each other, and the memory traveled between them. Communicated. She saw me. She saw me naked and screaming bloody. She's saying, now Carrie's saying this in her head. Without words or thought, it was in the eyes. Then Carrie said shyly, you look very pretty, Miss D. She did. She was dressed in a glimmering silver dress, a perfect complement to her blonde hair, which was up. A simple pendant hung around her neck. She looked very young enough to be attendant rather than chaperoning. Thank you, she said, then put a gloved hand on Carrie's arm. I sound like a robot right now because it's like just the way he wrote this is really confusing. You are beautiful, she said, and each word carried a very good meaning. Carrie felt herself blushing again and dropped her eyes to the table. It's awfully nice of you to say so. I know I'm not really, but thank you anyways. It's true, Miss D said. Carrie, anything that happened before, well, it's all forgotten. I wanted you to know that. I can't forget it, Carrie said. She looked up. The words that rose to her lips were, "I don't blame anyone anymore." She bit them off. It was a lie. She blamed them all and always would. And she wanted more than anything else, to be honest. But it's over with. Now it's over with. Miss D smiled, and her eyes seemed to catch and hold the soft mix of lights and an almost liquid sparkling. She looked across toward the dance floor, and Carrie followed her gaze. "I remember my own prom," Dee said softly. "I was 2 inches taller than the boy I went with when I was in my heels. He gave me a corsage that clashed with my gown, and that broke in the car and the engine made. Oh, an awful racket. But it was magic. I don't know why, but I never had a date like it. Ever again." She looked at Carrie. "Is it like that for you?" "It's very nice," Carrie said. "And is that all?" "No, there's more. I couldn't tell it at all. Not to anybody." Dee smiled and squeezed her arm. "You'll never forget it," she said. "Never." "I think you're right. Have a lovely time, Carrie." "Thank you." Tommy came up with 2 Dixie cups of punch as Dee left, walking around the dance floor toward the chaperone's table. "What does she want?" he asked, putting the Dixie cups down carefully. Carrie, looking after her, said, "I think she wanted to say she was sorry." So, I didn't get into any of the good parts, but I want to leave that so y'all can go and watch the movie, or y'all can go and purchase this book and read it. I know, sorry. We are sorry. But number 6, let me just get this over with. Number 6. Beetlejuice. That should have been number 1 because I love Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. I just love that movie. I love it. I love all my childhood movies. All of them. But yeah, Beetlejuice is number 6. Number 7. Number 7, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 8, 13 Ghosts. Number 9, The Skeleton Key. That should have been like up there too. The Skeleton Key. What is wrong with me today? And number 10, Sleepaway Camp. If y'all never seen it, it is on Prime Video. It is free. Y'all should watch that. It's a really good, little horror flick. It's a classic. But number 1, 2, and 3, child, please. Child, please. Jason ain't got nothing on this girl. For real. It's called Sleepaway Camp. Not a really big fan of Jason. Sleepaway Camp, female. Sleepaway Camp. Definitely, y'all gotta watch that. If y'all haven't watched it, you got to. But yeah, I just want to show y'all before we end this. This is how it came. This is how she came. And it says, "I'm a night bear before coffee." And that's crazy because I'm not really a big fan of coffee. So hot chocolate it will be. That sounds good, some hot chocolate. And that is it for today. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it, and don't mind my stumbleness while I was reading. Stephen King is a brilliant writer, but oh God, having a little trouble reading that one is a little confusing, and I hope I didn't confuse you guys. Any questions? I'm gonna put my Instagram down in the description, so make sure you go and you follow, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that post notification button so whenever I post a new video, you guys can be the first one to see it. Okay? Until next time, and happy Halloween. Peace.